Okay, good morning. Welcome to Iyun Benzion, part of Yeshiva YouTube. Took off my suit today. I'm wearing a nice sweater, so I guess that's in lieu of the suit. I want to talk today a Gemara in Yadalim and Aleph. The Gemara talks about really an explanation of the Mishnah. The Mishnah on your Gimel and Beis says that when you're matfis with a neder, you compare it to a korban. It has to be davar hanodor, something which previously was mutter, and then you aser, like a korban. You're matfish a korban, so that's how you matfis beneder. You connect it to a piece of meat or a piece of bread and aser it b'toras neder. However, if you compare it to davar aser, like klaya kerem or pork, basar chazir or avodos kochavim, which are aser b'hana, but they were always aser b'hana. You didn't aser them. The Torah aser them. That doesn't work. So the Gemara asks, right? The Gemara says the sources, Minani Mili, in the middle of Yudal and Aleph. Amakra, Ish Kidor Nedal Hashem Ash Yidar with Davar Another, right? A double lashon. You have to be Noder with Davar Another, something's already Aser, which you aser, right? Ihachi, the Gemara says Afil with Davar Aser Nami. Even if you compare it to a Davar which is Aser from the Torah, from the beginning of the Torah, the Aksiv, you didn't Aser, the Aksiv last or Isar. The pasuk continues. I'll read you the pasuk. Ish Kidor Nedal Hashem O Hishava Shvuah last or Isar Al Nafsho. Takes a shvuel Esser Isar. So Esser Isar sounds like the word Isser. So Isar, double lashon, Esser Isar should also mean if he's no there, he connects to davar Asar, also should be Asar. So the Gemara says no. That word is that Joshua, the double lashon Esser Isar, mibayilech latani is near something else. Ezu Isar Amma Torah doesn't even quote the entire brisa. It's a long brisa. We quote it on Daf Yud Beis. The Gemara is talking about a person 5 years after the death of his father, 5 years after a certain Som Gedalia. He said, the meat and wine that I'm going to consume today should be usher like the meat and wine that I didn't eat on the day of my father's yortzeit, my father's patira, when he died. I was very sad. I didn't eat meat at that point. So in that case, right, in that case, it works, right? And Shmuel comments about that. He actually took a neder on that day. So what's the chiddush of that brisa? I mean, what is that brisa really telling you? Especially according to Shmuel, it says that he actually took a neder on that day, meaning on the day his father died, he took a neder not to eat meat and wine. Now, I want to disclose an important fact over here that the day that your father dies, you are usher as an onen, you're usher in basar and yain. That's the isra of an onen in the Torah. Some gedal you can't eat at all. So it's really a davar ha'asr in those cases. It's not a davar another. According to Shmuel, who says he actually took a neder on the day that his father died. So he asked upon himself meat and wine. Maybe after the father was buried, there's a velus. You're only owning until the father is buried. He asked her the whole day. So that's neder obama osayom. I'm going to go with the accepted explanation that you need Shmuel's statement. So what's the chiddush of the Esor Isar? Okay, so you need it for the Brisa. What is the Brisa telling you? So the Ran explains the Brisa is telling you something unique. That normally a neder is where you aser a piece of meat, and when I aser a piece of meat, it's aser for everybody. I'm taking neder, right? I aser the piece of meat is aser like everybody, for everybody, especially if you're matfis it to a korban or something like that. However, this case by Gedaliah ben Achikam, or the day that your father died, you're connecting it. It's a personal neder. It's a personal neder. Your father died. Not everyone's father died 5 years ago. So therefore, the chiddush is that even though there's only a hatfasa to a neder, which is a personal neder, nonetheless it's effective. So it's just teaching another type of hatfasa. Now, that's the Ran's explanation. Without the Ran's explanation, I could have said a different explanation. The different explanation being as follows, is that, which maybe would work according to the Rush. I didn't look at the Rush over here, but the chiddush of that brisa is that Les or Isa really, in that case, the reason the chiddush is, the reason that it works is that even though, right, and maybe that is the chiddush, maybe that's like not Shmuel. I'm going to go back. Actually, maybe I'm going to say like what I'm going to say. Is that chiddush that brisa is that you are like the yom that your father died. You're usher as an onen basar v'yayin. Some gedal you're usher basar v'yayin. The day of the korban, Tisha B'av, right? You're usher. You have to fast also. So in all these days, it's not a davar another. It's a davar usher. the chiddush of the brisa is that when you're matfis with a davar ha'aser, even though it doesn't work by a neder, it works by a shvua. And that's really meduyik in the pasuk. The pasuk says, right? It says, "Oh, shaba shvua lesser Yisrael nafsho." That even though hatzfasa normally doesn't work by a neder, if it's davar ha'aser, when it comes to a shvua, it does work. What's the reasons? The obvious reason the Rosh would explain is because by an iser, by a shvua, it's an iser gavra, like the Gemara says in Beis Beis, it's an iser on myself. So the fact that I'm matfis, I connected back to a davar aser, well, it's just for emphasis. It's saying just like that day it was aser, also today is aser. I'm answering something upon myself. I'm not answering the chefsa. Maybe only hatfasa. The Rosh learns hatfasa by a neder, right? A neder, you need hatfasa to a davar hanadar, because in order to create a strong isser chefsa, right? And to create an isser chefsa, so I have to connect it to a davar hanadar. So there has to be some sort of power over here, emanating from the original neder, right? A korban, it wasn't kodesh, so through that I took a neder upon himself. So therefore, I have to connect that neder to this piece of meat now, in order for it to be an isser chefsa, right? That's the Rosh would emphasize that by shvua, right? Hatzfasa works even with davar aser, because the davar aser is just for emphasis, right? It's not to create an isser chefsa. It's always isser gavra. So it's just for emphasis. It would work. However, when it comes to a neder, that's an isser chefsa. That's an isser chefsa, and therefore, you need to actually connect it with davar nadra, which is really the way hatfasa works. Is that I stated to actually channel some of the kedusha that I took from the original neder and channel it to the neder over here. That's the explanation I would like to give for the Rush. The Ran has a different explanation. The Ran seemingly goes with Shmuel's explanation, Iyun, and based on that, he has to mechalik. He's learning the case that Bryce is talking about actual neder. He's talking about actual neder. So what is the chiddush over there, right? It's both matfus davar and neder. So he makes a chilek between something which is a personal neder and a neder for everyone. I will add one more thing. The reason I believe the Ran says this is because the Ran holds there can be two types in Nedarim. There's a neder when you say Harei Alai, the basar is asur, without connecting to the korban, and then there's where you connect to the korban. So the Ran, there's two different types in Nedarim, and both are isur chefsa. The Gemara says neder is always an isur chefsa. So I would say according to the Ran, there's a neder which is when you make something like a korban. So therefore, it's an isur chefsa for everybody. And when you make it, when you're just matfis, we just say Harei Alai basar, this basar is asur, right? Hatfasa works the asr on everybody. A personal neder only asrs on yourself. Those are two different types in the Dharma according to the Ran. So that and according to the Ran, that right, maybe you need hatfasa b'dharma neder to make it such a strong neder that asrs on everybody, as opposed to hatfasa without hatfasa. It's just personal neder. According to the Rosh, it always has to be hatfasa a neder, because since it's an isser chefsa, so you always need to connect it to a davar hanador in order to generate that isser chefsa, even if it's a personal isser chefsa. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.